So I'm having a chat with the Ting Tings. How are you both?
Very good.
We're good. It's not too early in the morning, so we're fresh enough to have a chat.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And after this interview, we'll be playing a new single of yours called Dreaming. Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
It's the second single off our new record that we recorded over the last 3 years or so. Yeah, the dog's barking, sorry. And we were inspired really by a lot of our all-time favorite bands like Dire Straits, Bread, Supertramp, Steely Dan, Fleetwood
Fleetwood.
Mac. And we wanted to write a record that was really based around all our instrumentation, piano, acoustics, electric guitar stuff, plugging, play. So we dropped laptops, we dropped all our kind of technology. As a band, we'd go out as a duo and we used a lot of loops and stuff like that. And that kind of energy. And we wanted to steer clear of that. So we bought tape machine, we bought old desks and, that classic kind of wood studio environment and made a record that surprised ourselves how good we thought it was and how much it meant to us. We became a family, so there was a lot going on in our lives writing this record. And in anything like that first record we had back in 2008 was so successful, I think the connection is that when, particularly for me and Kay, we have to write our hearts on our sleeves. It meant so much that first record to us because we'd been through so much to get to that point. And I think that relays to the audience. And in many ways, although it's a completely different genre or sound, this record, I think we've gone through a lot. And to this point, we had a lot to say naturally, and it came out on this record. So again, it means not that our mid records, this is our fifth album. It's not like they didn't mean a lot to us. But you just, as writers, we've been writing together for 22 years, you just instinctively know when things are rolling out of you and not being squeezed out of you because you're trying to fill the gaps. You're trying to write. It's just like flowing out of us. And this record has got to that place, including the way we're releasing it.
Yeah, yeah, good. And we'll touch on your first record a little bit later on, but I want to stick to Home, which is the name of your new record, which is out 6th of June. The sound that you made with this record, is it the sound that you wanted, or is it kind of just how it turned out?
Well, it's music we've been listening to our whole lives, and I just think as we've got older and evolved and kind of evolved as writers, I just feel like couldn't have written this album at any other point in our lives. It's like love and loss and everything in between, and it's real storytelling, good old-fashioned songwriting, and I don't know. I think, yeah, it is kind of the sound we wanted. We was quite particular. We made like a big mood board of everything that we loved and had the Carpenters on there and it had Joni Mitchell and it had Christopher Cross and all these amazing artists and the look and feel that we wanted. And we kind of stuck to it. If something didn't really feel like it was in that mood, we didn't work on it anymore. So yeah, I think it was something we aimed for.
And the tracks and the bits that you've just mentioned there that didn't make the record, what happens to those now? Do you consider them next time around, or will you kind of bin them off and start again?
If I'm being honest, I can barely remember these. We're rehearsing for shows. We're doing, we've been playing some shows and we're doing more shows. And we go to rehearsals and I can't remember the lyrics for this album, let alone remember songs that didn't make the album. Seriously, I'm the world's worst lyric memorizer, I guess is maybe the word.
But he can
So
play every instrument on it.
yeah,
So he remembers all those. Like, show all the musicians every single part that they need to play. And then be like, oh, I can't remember my
but I
lyrics.
can't remember the
Can't be
songs
good at
that
anything.
make it. They obviously weren't good enough. But no, we're not very good at banking B-sides, if you want, or ideas that don't make albums. We tend to sort of just lose drives. I mean, we've got a history of doing that. We're not very good. Once we've got something we love, we're all about that, and we've found it, and that's what we're doing. I think everything else just gets lost in transport and translation. There's loads of equipment that we're still going. Where did we put that amazing thing that we used? I have no idea where it's gone.
Yeah.
We'll find it one day.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, 5 records in now, how have you and how has the music evolved over those years?
I think we're more secure in ourselves and we're quite fiercely independent now. We've been on both sides of like the music industry. In effect, we've been major record label for 2 albums, and then our third album, we kind of felt we kind of sacrificed that. It was a great album, but we kind of sacrificed it a bit to figure out how to become independent because we just didn't function that well. we have like a pop sensibility to some of our writing, but we don't function in that pop world. We take 4 years to make albums, and we're a couple, and it's our lives, and we now have a child, and so I think yeah, we're much more comfortable in our own skin, and I think we're quite. I think we call this album home because we feel like we've really landed on the type of music that we want to grow old writing. We don't care about trying to be cool or do the hippish new video, or we just want to make good old fashioned kind of songwriting and get old writing that.
Yeah, so sounds good to me. And I like to talk about the writing side of things. So for you guys, how do the tracks normally start off?
Wow, that it doesn't. There is no real formula that we follow each time. Across the 5 albums, it's changed in all so many ways. So because in every single way, so it could be an idea that's written on an acoustic guitar, sitting in a front room, bouncing off each other. An idea that one of us have got on a little dictaphone at walking down the street. Kate might be humming something or a line or something. An idea that we've got on a laptop because we found a little keyboard sound that we really love. An idea that we're working on a big old desk because we're excited about the old analog and we've got this great little sound coming through on an electric guitar or an amp and a mic, or even me sitting on a drum kit playing. They come from anywhere between the two of us. The one thing that we do is just share the moment.
Bouncing it really.
Yeah, one of us will be excited about a lick or a groove or a lyric or a phrase or a melody, and we're in it. We'll be working on that. It could be just sitting around a dinner table, just talking about the idea, and all of a sudden we've kind of conjured up the lyric or the thrust of the lyric. Or it could be independently, one's over one way, one's somewhere out, that we're driving to this idea. But effectively, there's always a point where we kind of crush it together and it starts to make sense when we're flushing it out between us. So there really isn't, I mean, literally, safe to say I'm a better guitar player than Katie, but that doesn't mean Katie wouldn't be writing an idea on a guitar. It's not always, you know what I mean? It's like one day she'd be doing something and it'd be brilliant. And same with me on maybe a keyboard or something. So there really aren't any rules. I honestly mean that. I can't remember any one kind of thread that's happened through the 5 albums
I
that's
will
been
say that we've learned because
consistent.
now we have a little girl that's 5. We work so much more when because we only have a certain amount of time to be in the studio. Otherwise, poor little thing's got to wander around waiting for mummy and daddy all the time. So it shocked me how better we worked, like over a few hours, where something that would take us like 2 weeks at the studio I feel like we're more guided and more precise when we do go in the studio. It really means more because we know we have just a few hours to be in there. So yeah, it's taken us 4 years to make it because we literally had her and made this album all around it and it's all intertwined. But yeah, I think we learned to work kind of smarter, no, in the studio.
Yeah, good. And you've mentioned that you've been on the road and doing some shows. How have they been?
Fantastic. We did 2 sellout London shows about 3 or 4 weeks ago at the Bush Hall, which was really nerve-wracking because first time I come off my drums, as a duo, we have like loops and pedals, and I go on drums and play instruments, and Katie sings and plays guitar. That format's gone. We've got 9 players on stage. Again, we woke up wanting to be the Eagles on this record, and we've always loved these bands, and we always thought, God, it's such a shame there isn't enough of that going out there mid writing this album that we had to take it live in that direction. There was no way we were going to take this body of work and put it like on a loop pedal or, scream around the stage like we do on That's Not My Name. So we brought in 7 musicians that play for some amazing bands like 10cc, ELO, and a whole host of other phenomenal groups. And we sent them our album and they all loved it. So bass player, guitarist started arriving and we started rehearsing with them. Me on guitar and acoustic and vocals. I've got a bigger vocal role on this album. And there was no going back from that moment. We had a 2 week rehearsal in a studio in Spain with these amazing musicians playing this album, and it blew our minds. It was like, this is how it must have felt for having a proper Congo player, percussionist on stage and a proper drum on stage and a proper bass player on stage and we've got 3 guitars on stage. We've got like those proper layers that you would see in an old Eagles piece of footage. we were living the dream, and we did that for 2 weeks, and we had the most amazing fun. We did some recording, and then everyone left, and we sort of sat down and went, "Oh, how are we going to put 9 people on the road?" As you know, it's a big feat to do to put that many people, and not many bands A can afford it or can sustain it. And then we booked these shows, and we went to London. And importantly, we play "That's Not My Name," "Shut Up and Let Me Go," "We Walk." What are the other two?
Be the
"Be
One.
the One" and
Great DJ.
"Great DJ," which are 5 tracks from the first album. So we knew we wanted to make sure that the audience enjoyed the set and not just promoting a new record. So many times we go to bands' shows and they're just all about their new record and they forget to play some of it. We can't play every song, obviously, but so we adapted those in this new style. We kind of rehearsed them in a way that they felt like they were part of this new record. And that was amazing. So like, "That's Not My Name" sounds like it's a blues, it's a proper country blues song, really, when you break it down on acoustic. And we did a version of Shut Up and Let Me Go, which is very Carpenters. And it worked brilliantly. So the gigs were, I guess they were an absolute, we need to be doing this. So booking more, we're coming back to London on Saturday. We're playing Manchester. We haven't been back there for 8, 9 years or something. So that's exciting. We're doing Maid of Vow. So yeah, I mean, and then the Portuguese Foster was all coming together with a 9 piece band. I mean, it holding them together is hard
We have
because
to
of it.
kind of move slow because, yeah, it's a big kind of deal trying to get us all in a room, isn't it? Like rehearsing for 4 days before something. It'd be amazing if next year we can like roll it out over festivals, and then we're really rolling. And yeah, that's the dream.
But it is fascinating that when you go out as a duo and you sort of want to like a mini little, you can play anywhere. It's so easy to set up the two of us. When you're in a big band, you do think differently. I can't explain it. You've all that footage of those older bands back in the day, Steely Dan, and the way they had to all communicate and play together, and there's friction, there's lots of people. That's here. It's a really rewarding place to be. I mean, I don't think that we could ever go back to just us two being on stage. It'd be a lonely place.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Good. And you've only got a couple of dates left in the diary booked at the moment. Are you hoping to add some more this year?
Yeah, I think we just done an Ibiza show, which was amazing. It was just in like a little roadside blues bar, and again, it was more to like just kind of create the right feel around what we're doing. And I think I personally think if we like aim for like festivals next year and we do like one-off shows like all autumn, over the winter, spring, I think that's probably the best route for us. But we don't know. We're just trying to get it moving.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I said we would touch back on your first record. We started nothing. When you look back on that now, do you kind of when you're writing now, do you think to yourself that you're trying to hit the heights of what the first album hit, or are you in a stage now where you're just writing for the fun of it and there's no pressure because you've had a number one here in the UK, for instance, you're just going to do what you enjoy?
Well, I think we went through that pain barrier for a couple of albums after it. You try not to, but you do, and it's so intoxicating being on tour and it's weird that record because it just blew up everywhere around the world. So we toured for years really with people still discovering that song. We'd do South America, and then they'd be like, oh, it's going really well now in China, like 2 years later. And it was an amazing record that took us all around the world. And yeah, it was a little bit, it was, I think, not trying to aim for the same hit, but just trying to I don't know. We kept feeling like we wanted to be relevant and stay relevant, and that really affects how you write. And I really feel like on this album, it's the first time in a long time where we can really honestly say, like, we had a child. We didn't even know if we would tour or do anything as the Ting Tings again. So we just wrote songs for the love of songwriting. And that's really, truly what we love more than anything. We weren't interested in being celebrities. Terrible on red carpet. Love doing, shows and, living in the studio, which is what we basically do. And, we've had a blessed life because of that first album. But I feel like we're in the best place now since then.
Good. Yeah, great stuff. And when you look back on the tracks like "That's Not My Name" and "Shut Up and Let Me Go," two of the ones where you listen to it and you go, "I know that song." Did you realize when you were writing it at the time that they could potentially become hits, or was it a complete
Well, we've
surprise when they did?
I didn't know. I didn't, and I was I've been in bands before, and I've been working really hard to live in music. And at that point, I was pretty fried. You know, we were just on the eve of putting that record out. We didn't even know how we were going to put it out, but it was seeking out into, the various underground scenes of Manchester, and we were broke. And I did, I love what I do, but I didn't, I'd lost faith in the means, the way to support yourself. Music's just business is just bloody incredibly hard for, and now to branch off a bit with new artists, I just don't know how. When you come into the industry now and you think about there's nowhere to make any money, like venues don't exist as many more. You
It's
can't make money on record sales, even if you sell 100 records, there's nothing in it anymore. It's just like give away, give away, give away everything. And I feel really sorry for younger because I value art. I always think there should be some type of price to any art that somebody gives out. And of course, we're living in a different world where it's just like flood the internet or flood social media with everything you've got. See if you can get some feedback. That saddens me for new artists. But at the time, That's Not My Name, we finished the record. I was already going through that process of, things are not fair anymore. That kind of bewildered artist thing. Well, Katie was much more positive. She was like hearing the music that we'd just put
It gave
down.
me goosebumps, and I was like, "Oh, I just didn't fully understand." And whenever we performed it, even just in our little living room in front of like three friends, their jaws would just like hit the floor, and they'd be like, "Guys!" Like one tried to buy because you had a broken cymbal and we couldn't afford another one. One friend was like, "I'll buy us another cymbal,
Yeah, it was
Jules. I'll
kind of
buy you a
weird. Yeah.
cymbal." Like just anything to like help get it moving. So I sensed it, but obviously I didn't realize it would go huge. But I knew it had something about the track that gave me goosebumps.
And again, we were writing that first record came from a real honest place. We'd gone through much. We were artists that had been dropped and da da da. We thought we were kind of, you know, um, damaged goods, if you want, and we weren't going to get another chance to get out there and couldn't get a gig. And so there was all these mixed emotions in writing that. And I think that whole feeling that I was feeling dismayed about everything was getting into the record on my side of it. But I was over. I was like, this is nuts. This doesn't make sense. And I think with this record, we're in the same place, even though it's a different record. But I think we are in a very honest place with this record. We've got a lot to say.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, it's been a pleasure having a catch up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.